Hello everyone and welcome to my spoiler review on the game Vampyr. I'm going to give a quick review on the game and also talk about the story and kind of explain how everything happened. Vampyr is a RPG made by the company Don't Nod Entertainment, who really started off as just making Remember Me, kind of a forgetful RPG, and then moved on to Life is Strange, which was critically acclaimed, I think well accepted. But now, ever since E3, they're really starting to get a name out for themselves and they're making a lot of interesting things. Vampyr adds a fresh take on the RPG genre, but I'll get into that later. To start off, I want to talk about the story. You start off as Dr. Jonathan E. Reed, who just came back from World War I. Everyone, your whole family thinks you're dead, but really, a vampire came down and turned you into his progeny. You spend the game trying to figure out why this happened to you and who did this to you. In your newborn rage, you kill your sister Mary for her blood. Then you go forward and meet Dr. Swansea, one of the main people in this game, and Sean Hampton. You save Sean Hampton from a Scowl, which is basically a bad vampire, and bring him back to Pembroke Hospital, where you meet Lady Ashbury. She is also a vampire that's working with Dr. Swansea. You travel across the world being a doctor and helping people, giving medicine, doing whatever they need, and throughout that you hear voices from a basically horned blood man. He's made out of blood, looks like this guy, and then eventually you find out Mary actually became a vampire when you killed her, and she almost kills your mom, but you stop her and then you have to kill her because that's what she wants. She just wants to be dead. You later go on to the docks to find Sean Hampton, who escaped Pembroke Hospital with Harriet Jones. You find out he is actually a Scowl, but not all Scowls are enemies. He is a friend and he helps out a little town of other Scowls led by one Scowl named Old Bridget. Harriet Jones is hiding down there with Old Bridget, and you find out that she is also turning into a Scowl. You later go to the Ascalon Club, which is a high society of basically vampire immortals who think they're better than everybody else, who are led by Lord Reddington. Lord Reddington says he's a descendant of William Marshall, the great vampire, and he has his own blood in a vase in the Ascalon Club. He tells you to go turn this guy named Dawson, who is the richest man in all of London, into a vampire, but Dawson is a very evil man, and Lady Ashbury informs you that Lord Reddington is not who he says. He actually is not a great vampire. He can only turn other people into Scowls, not into vampires. That's why he wants you to go do this. So you choose not to. You can or cannot choose to turn him. I chose not to. And Lord Reddington gets mad and kicks me out of the club. From thenceforth, his vampires are hunting you at all times. You then wander on to Doris Jones, who's actually Harriet Jones's daughter. You find out Doris Jones is one of the causes of this epidemic because she keeps inviting people to come to her acting school and then they get turned into Scowls by her. You kill Doris Jones just before the Guard of Pruin, who are the vampire hunters, show up, led by McCollum. You end up leaving, but find out the Guard of Pruin has invaded Pembroke Hospital and taken Dr. Swansea back to Doris Jones's theater. You head there to save Dr. Swansea, and before that you have to fight and defeat McCollum. I chose to turn him into a vampire. You end up saving Dr. Swansea only to find out that he is the reason this entire epidemic happened. Lady Ashbury, who is now your love, works in the hospital. She takes blood from people who are dying, and that is how she sustains her life as a vampire. But Dr. Swansea took some of her blood and tried to use it to save Harriet Jones. That turned Harriet Jones into a Scowl, which started the whole epidemic. Lady Ashbury did not know this. So you can choose either to let Dr. Swansea die or turn him into a vampire, which I ended up turning into a vampire.
Oh, please, Jonathan, please. I beg you. This is what I've always wanted. This is what I've always searched for.
But it didn't really matter in the end.
Enough!
You end up going to the sewers to find Harriet Jones. She has killed all of the scows in there except for old Bridget and has run down to the bottom. Your master, the Blood Man, whose name is actually Meerden Wilt, I don't know how to pronounce that, comes and tells you that the Red Queen is leading Harriet Jones and is about to come forth and basically kill everyone. You kill Harriet Jones and then the Red Queen pops up. You have to fight her and end up defeating her, which stops the whole epidemic.
Do you think your champion defeated me, my child?
No one could ever defeat you, mother of us all, for you are our every root and leaf.
You've always been my most amusing son.
Then go back to sleep, my queen, and smile at us from your dreams.
Did they feel my wrath? Have they suffered enough?
More than ever, mother of us all.
Until the next time.
Until the next time.
You then go back to find Lady Ashbury, but once she found out that she was the source, her blood was the source of the Scowl epidemic, she couldn't take it and ran away to her dilapidated castle.
It was your blood Edgar used for his experiment on Harriet Jones.
What? No. No. This can't be. Oh.
Elizabeth, are you all right?
No, I have to go.
What do you mean?
Leave me alone. Save the city, Jonathan. Save what can be saved.
Elizabeth, I need answers. Why did your blood
Stay
cause
away
this?
from me. Please. I swear I never was your
Wait!
enemy.
No! Elizabeth!
You follow her there and find out that she is there with William Marshall, the great vampire that the Ascalon Club looked up to so much. William Marshall is not what he was once. He is mad and he thinks that angels turned him into this and vampires are evil. Lady Ashbury says she can't keep going because her blood is hateful and will only be used to kill others. You promise to take care of her and she ends up killing William Marshall to save him as kind of a last humanity thing to do.
Farewell, Father.
And that is where the game ends.
I love you, Elizabeth. I can do this. Please, stay with me.
I believe you. This is crazy, but I believe you, Jonathan.
So now we move on to the gameplay of the game. The first thing that people notice is the combat. It's not anything great, it's not amazing, it's there to get you from point A to point B. It actually does later in the game get annoying moving from point A to point B because the map in itself is not very good. You walk around and it looks like there's a connecting path, but it's blocked by like a little wall that you can't get through, so you have to turn around and run all the way back around. But just fighting all the people while running, it gets really tedious because the combat's not great. They give you all these powers that seem cool, but I think I pretty much used 2 the entire game. Like, they give you one that I got at first, which seemed cool, was you teleport to the enemy and do damage, but it is almost pointless. It's better just to dash to them, because teleporting, it takes up blood and it does almost no damage to them. Pretty much, they give you the ultimate powers, which is where you do the big bulk of your damage. I picked the one that does shadow damage. There's 4 types of damage. There's melee, ranged, shadow, and blood. And each of your moves will do a different kind of that damage, and each enemy is either strong or weak to a certain kind of damage. So you need a good variety of moves, which adds to the game, but also when the enemy if it's a tough enemy and it's immune to your ultimate move, it's annoying because it just takes way longer because you don't have anything else that does enough damage. So that is definitely, the combat is the weakest part of the game. You could say it's kind of a mix between The Witcher 3 and maybe Bloodborne or something, although it doesn't really capture both of them. It's some middle ground that's just, it's substantial, but it's not anything good. Another thing is the game is way too long, like probably 5 to 7 hours too long, which is why the combat gets so tedious and why some of the story elements seem boring or seem like they're just taking too long, and the map gets annoying just because the game is so long and you have to run through it so much. For example, the map being bad wouldn't really be a problem did you not have to run around it 7 times back and forth just to talk to 2 different people. There's points in the game where they give you these little exclamation points that means new dialogue. So you run all the way from one side of the map to other side to get to Pembroke Hospital to talk to Dr. Swansea, and he tells you 1 sentence. And then you have to run all the way back to your objective. But if you don't do that, then time runs out and you'll never get to do it. So you have to go do it before you sleep or something, because sleeping makes it to where the day pass and you get to level up. That's a cool mechanic in this game. First of all, is you get to sleep, which means you level up, but also the enemies get harder. You can meet people out in the wild that you have to save, but if you don't save them and you go sleep, then they die and time actually passes. So that's a good thing that this game does. It really gives you that passing of time feeling. So earlier in this video I mentioned that this game brings a lot of fresh ideas to the RPG genre, and that passage of time is one of them. Time passing, leveling up, and all that actually matters. But another thing it does is every NPC in this, or almost every NPC, I think not Lady Ashbury, but almost every NPC can be killed for experience. Now this will make the world around them worse, and if the world gets below critical, then every person in that area either dies or flees or run away, and that gets infested by monsters. But you really have to choose to either kill these people or save these people, because at first I thought not killing anybody was easy, and I got all the way up till this McCollum fight where I had to fight McCollum, and I could barely hurt him. He was 2-shotting me, and that was the first fight that I realized, hey, maybe I need to go kill some people. So I did. I went and killed 3 people, got a bunch of experience, leveled up to where I was about the same level, where everything was an 8 to 10 levels higher than me, and the game did get a lot easier after that. But yeah, that's a cool mechanic, and I wish they would have gone into that more, actually, because I feel like that could have been a huge thing, but it's really just there. You don't have to do it, but it really helps out.
My sweet queen, who will protect you from yourself? Will you cry for me?
So the story is obviously the main point of this game. The interactions between the social clubs, and you have to figure out hints about each person, and as you finish their side quests, you get experience for that side quest, but it also raises their blood quality, which gives you more experience when you kill them. So that's also a cool mechanic, how learning everything about these people actually can lead to you. It's like preparing a meal before you eat it in a sick kind of way. But that's also a cool new mechanic that I've never seen in a game before. And that's all I really have to talk about the gameplay. It's just the combat, not great, but it's good. I mean, it's substantial. The game's too long, and just the whole story, though, of it makes it worth it, because it's so much fun running around, learning all these things. Every single character has a story to them. Like, you never meet someone and they're just there. Every single person in this game has a cool story, which is really the reason to play this game. There's not a lot of games out there since, like, Vampire Masquerades or something, where you get to be a cool vampire. So these games are really short in supply, and I think if they made like a second one of this and just improve some of these things, it could be a masterpiece. But for now, it's not. It's what we have now, but it's still a very fun game to go through. One more thing that can kind of distract you from the story is that some of the dialogue is silly. Like, there's this example with Lord Redgrave.
Good evening, Lord Redgrave.
What are you doing here, traitor? I shall smite you for this audacity.
I'm not here to bicker, Lord Redgrave. I can put an end to this epidemic, but I need your assistance to do so.
Good. We've held out thus far, but the time has come to put an end to this crisis. Tell me, what do you need?
The blood of William Marshall.
The blood of William Marshall? Of my maker? Are you mad? This blood is the purest of all. My maker proffered it to me on the battlefield. I cannot hand it to you.
This is more important than the club, you, or me. This is London's last hope.
I see. Well, in that case, given the gravity of the situation, I suppose I can spare you a drop.
Thank you, my lord.
He just kind of... He's so strong in his stance, and then immediately he just gives up and lets you do what you want to do. And there's some other little silly things like that. It's not perfect, but it is very interesting the whole time. So now, moving on to the conclusion. What I think about this game. This is an RPG that actually takes a fresh take on the genre. It adds new things, while also in other ways, such as the combat, almost sometimes taking a step back, or just not being good enough or up to par with other games. It's a really unique atmosphere. It's got a unique environment. The sound in the game is incredible most of the time. Like, it just sounds like you're there. The music is amazing. It's perfect for the scenario. It's creepy. It's dark. But it's too long. It outstays its welcome. It should be 5 to 7 hours shorter. Now, with all that being said, I give this game a 7 out of 10. But I'd say it's probably the best 7 out of 10 I've ever played. It's still a 7 out of 10, but it's a really good 7 out of 10, and I still recommend it even at that score. Alright, thanks for watching.
One prayer for the summoned, called by this song. Child born from darkness, whose path ye must find. Now the song is sung, and your path chosen. England is safe, for you have prevailed. I bid you farewell, my champion, bittersweet. You found yourself a newer quest, and so I leave you to it. My queen sleeps once again, and I'll soon join her slumber, until alas she rises, woken by the hunger never fed.